out and impale unsuspecting sailors. As a result, they are widely considered to be even more dangerous than sharks to fishermen who work in needlefish-infested areas. Number 14. Stingray. As the name suggests, stingrays stand out due to them having a stinger near the base of their tail. And while they are usually docile, they don't hesitate to use said stinger when they're threatened. Typically speaking, this only occurs with humans if one is accidentally stepped on, as they tend to burrow under the sand as camouflage in order to ambush prey. Unfortunately, these stings are usually extremely painful and often cause secondary symptoms such as local tissue death, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, and muscle cramps. Yet, while smaller stingrays likely will not kill you, larger species can pose a very real threat. Most notably, famed ecologist Steve Irwin learned this the hard way in 2006, when he unfortunately passed away after coming into contact with a 2-meter-long bull stingray. As a result, we recommend swimming in the other direction if you see one on your next tropical vacation. Number 13. Giant moray eel. Although there are...
Why did you stop being a vigilante? The line was crossed. I was raised to believe in grace, but I was also raised to believe in retribution. Daredevil and Born Again, only on Disney+.
The vagus nerve is like the body's superhighway, connecting your brain to your heart, lungs, and digestive system. It plays a central role in controlling vital functions, such as slowing your heart rate, improving digestion, and regulating your immune response. This nerve also helps shift your body into recovery mode by activating the parasympathetic system, which promotes calmness and healing. Meet NeuroSim. This non-invasive, wearable vagal neuromodulation device.
Are over 200 different species of moray eel, the giant moray eel is certainly the most troublesome. Found throughout the Indian and Pacific Oceans, they can reach up to 3 meters in length and weigh as much as 30 kilograms. While they're not all that aggressive due to them spending most of their time in the burrows, they can do some serious damage when divers attempt to feed them, as they will sometimes lunge forward and bite off the fingers of said divers. As a result, we recommend staying far, far away from them on your next scuba diving adventure. Number 12. Barracuda. Found in the oceans worldwide, the barracuda is an apex predator that has the potential to dish some serious damage. Reaching lengths of up to 2 meters and weights of up to 50 kilograms, the barracuda is absolutely massive, and it also sports a set of sharp teeth in order to chomp down on its prey. But generally speaking, barracudas are harmless to us humans, as they typically only attack other fish. However, in murky waters, they've been known to bite the arms and legs of humans after mistaking them for the underbelly of a fish. And they've also been known to chomp down on shiny objects such as belt buckles, necklaces, and earrings. As a result, these beastly barracudas really can be quite bothersome. Number 11. Anglerfish. When it comes to deep-sea creatures, few are as frightening as the anglerfish. Although only about the size of a coffee cup, they have a pretty frightening appearance, with the 200 different species of them each featuring a prominent lure that hangs off their front end. It uses this lure to attract prey. Once said prey is close enough, it will clamp down onto it with its impressive set of teeth. However, while anglerfish are certainly extremely dangerous to fish, they live too far below the sea for them to ever come into contact with humans. Regardless, we think you'd agree that this is probably for the best. Number 10. Box jellyfish. While getting a sting from most species of jellyfish would be painful, the box jellyfish definitely takes it up a notch. That's because these feisty fish, which are found throughout the Indian and Pacific Oceans, administer one of the most toxic stings in the world. Now, as far as jellyfish go, box jellyfish are pretty massive, coming in at about 10 feet long. Their tentacles have about 5,000 stinging cells each, and each are equipped with a toxin that attacks the heart, nervous system, and skin cells. Unfortunately, said toxin is so painful that human victims have been known to either go into shock and drown, or die of heart failure mere moments after coming into contact with one. Yet even if you do survive, you can expect to experience considerable pain for weeks. There's often significant scarring where the tentacles make contact with your skin. As a result, we'd suggest swimming in the other direction if you see one of these in the water during your next beach vacation. Number 9. Killer whales. A mainstay at parks such as SeaWorld and Marineland, killer whales are certainly one of the most impressive fish on the planet. Typically coming in at a length of about 6 to 8 meters and a weight in excess of 6 tons, they truly are massive. And it turns out that they are not in fact whales, but instead the largest member of the dolphin family. Regardless, they are strong hunters, typically attacking in packs and going after seals, cod, and at times even minke whales. Unfortunately, they have a tendency to attack humans. However, in the wild, these assaults are very rare. Instead, it's when killer whales are put into captivity that they become deadly. They will sometimes lash out against their trainers out of frustration, stress, or loneliness, often leading to serious injuries and at times even death as a result. These attacks certainly have given killer whale shows a bad rap in recent years. We are constantly adding more people to the Top 5's production team to bring you all the best content. Be sure to subscribe with notifications on and hit the like button. Number 8. The reef stonefish. While it may just look like a rock or a lump of coral, the reef stonefish is one of the most toxic fish in the world. Found in coral reefs throughout the Indian and Pacific Oceans, it's a master of disguise, hiding on the seafloor to camouflage with its surroundings. It is while it's on the seafloor that it hunts, quickly swimming and catching unsuspecting prey at rapid speeds. Speeds that are so rapid, in fact, that a reef stonefish attack often lasts as little as 0.015 seconds. However, while these fish are usually not a danger to humans, they very well can be if threatened. That's because they have 13 dorsal fins on their spine that contain a highly toxic venom, with this venom leading to severe pain, heart failure, and even death if left untreated. Luckily, since 1959, there have been an anti-venom that can treat stonefish stings, and it's also said that putting a wounded area in hot water can help soothe the pain. Yet given that they only sting if stepped on or otherwise touched in any way, it's pretty easy to steer clear of them while while snorkeling or scuba diving, so long as you keep your hands off the reef. Number 7. Goliath tigerfish. While most of the fish on this list only attack humans if provoked, the Goliath tigerfish stands apart for having actively attacked humans on a number of occasions. Found throughout the Congo River Basin, the Goliath tigerfish is rather large, growing to lengths of about 1.5 meters and weights of up to about 50 kilograms. It hunts by ambushing small fish, speeding up to them and clamping down on them with a large set of teeth, with each tooth typically growing as much as 1 inch long. As a result, it shouldn't come as a surprise that the local name for the species is the mbenga, which means the dangerous fish in Swahili. Yet what makes the Goliath tigerfish really dangerous is the fact that it will often attack prey much larger than itself. As such, it has routinely assaulted both crocodiles and humans, and stories abound throughout the Congo River Basin of attacks from this nasty creature. As a result, we recommend staying far away from this body of water, unless you'd like to become its next victim. Number 6. Red-bellied piranhas. Throughout the Amazon River, there are packs of predatory fish known as red-bellied piranhas. These crazy carnivores, which grow to lengths of about 50 centimeters and weigh in at about 5 kilograms, are notable because they are not only meat eaters, but also have extremely sharp sets of teeth. Typically, they use said teeth to chase down small prey such as worms, crustaceans, and fish, and in fact will often scavenge for plants and insects in order to meet their dietary needs. However, when food is scarce, piranhas will at times gang together to take down large prey in what is known as a feeding frenzy. Usually eating up said large individual within minutes. The victim will typically be an animal such as a capybara or an egret. However, in some cases, the victim will unfortunately be a human, and although such occurrences are extremely rare, they have unfortunately led to some very horrific deaths. Number 5. Swordfish. As the name suggests, swordfish are definitely one of the sharper fish out there. That's because their sword-shaped bills are extremely honed and durable, and are typically used to hunt down smaller fish. However, rather than impale their prey with their swords, they typically use them as scythes, slashing through small schools of fish in order to knock them out and gobble them up. And while their fast speeds and ferocious hunting style are no real danger to humans, swordfish can be quite the hazard when they're harpooned. That's because when impaled, they will typically jump or dive in such a way that could damage a boat or injure a human. Unfortunately, a Hawaiian man by the name of Randy Lames found this out the hard way in 2015, and he became the first recorded person to be killed by one of these creatures. You see, he had shot one with his harpoon when by instinct the swordfish jumped up and in the process punctured Lambs in the chest, leading to him to later passing away in the hospital. This just goes to show how dangerous swordfish truly are. It turns out that swordfish are much more dangerous when they're out of the water than when they're inside of it. This is because their meat contains very high levels of mercury, and this is of special concern to pregnant women. It turns out that long-term swordfish consumption can cause mercury to accumulate in your bloodstream over time, and that if too much mercury is in a pregnant woman's bloodstream, it could damage a baby's developing brain and nervous system. As a result, we suggest you stay far away from this mercury-high fish dish if you're expecting a child anytime soon. Number 4. Pufferfish. While pufferfish may not be the largest or fastest fish out there, their ability to puff up and poison their predators makes them extremely dangerous. Now, pufferfish typically only inflate when they feel threatened, as their puffed-up persona makes them look like a giant ball of spikes, which isn't exactly appetizing for a would-be predator. Additionally, their spikes contain a neurotoxin, known as tetrodotoxin, which can cause paralysis, seizures, and even death in humans. To make matters worse, the neurotoxin is not only up to 1,200 times more poisonous than cyanide, but it's also so abundant in the pufferfish that just one has the ability to kill up to 30 adult humans. When you then further consider that there is no antidote for a pufferfish's neurotoxins, it becomes clear that they should probably be avoided. Interestingly, however, there is a Japanese delicacy known as fugu that turns the pufferfish into a delectable dish. Having been eaten by the Japanese for over 2,000 years, fugu is a mainstay in Japanese culture. However, in recent years, it has been heavily regulated by the state. Ever since 1958, chefs had to obtain a license in order to prepare fugu. This involves first completing a 2-year apprentice.
Oh my god, packets! Yeah! Going to these stores would come in handy. Beautiful. What, the car? The view.
If the price will go up or down. If you compare the price of Bitcoin in different exchanges, you will notice that the price of Bitcoin is different on each exchange. For example, on Coinbase the price of Bitcoin may be $40,000, while in Binance at $40,500. First thing that goes in mind is to buy Bitcoin on Coinbase and immediately sell it on Binance to pocket the risk-free difference. Yes, 1.25% profit may seem like a low return, but imagine doing it several times a day. This is what we call arbitrage. To succeed in arbitrage, you need a few components: professional guidance, high speed, free calculator, reliable exchanges, lots of price differences. Having this powerful set of tools in one place is exactly what Arbitrage Bob Rico will provide. Happy arbitraging!
Apprenticeship under a certified fugu chef, and then undertaking an examination. The first 2 hours of said examination is written, but afterwards, there's a 3-minute fugu identification component and a 20-minute fugu preparation component. However, considering that only about 35% of the applicants pass, the license certainly isn't easy to obtain. Regardless, even though these chefs are highly trained, you would undoubtedly be taking a pretty big risk if you chose to consume a pufferfish. Number 3. Lionfish. While the vibrant patterns, bright colors, and interesting shape of a lionfish may make them one of the most beautiful fish on this list, this certainly doesn't make them any less dangerous. Hailing from the South Pacific and Indian Oceans, there are 12 species of lionfish out there, all of which feast on shrimp and smaller fish. However, when threatened, they'll make use of the poisonous spikes that they have across their back, pelvis, and underside. Being filled with toxin, being stung with said spikes can cause intense pain and sweating, and in extreme cases, respiratory distress and paralysis in humans. Luckily, there's a rather simple cure for lionfish stings, as one must simply remove the spines and soak the wound in hot water to help break down the toxins. If this treatment is performed, then the pain from the sting typically subsides after 1 or 2 days. However, if it's not treated in time, then it's far less effective. Yet what makes lionfish even more worrisome is that they're an invasive species, appearing in densities of over 350 fish per hectare on some reefs. They've spread across the eastern seaboard and the Mediterranean. This is problematic because they not only have no predators outside the Indo-Pacific, but they also have a voracious appetite, and most notably decimated about 65 to 95% of the endemic small reef fish in the Bahamas in just a 30-year time frame. As a result, we can expect issues regarding these feisty fish to continue to skyrocket if their overpopulation is not addressed soon. Number 2. Candiru. Found in the depths of the Amazon, the candiru is a fish that is very small but incredibly mighty. Measuring in at about 17 centimeters in length and being clear in color, it's very hard to spot and is widely known as a vampire fish due to its tendency to swim into the gills of smaller fish and live off them like a parasite. However, while the reports on the subject are shaky, there's quite a bit of anecdotal evidence to suggest that candirus have another target: humans. In particular, reports specify that candirus have a tendency to swim into human private parts, with urethras being the most common place of attack. It is said that once there, they will latch on to its walls with barbs, with said spikes only driving deeper into them if you try to pull one out. As a result, while some suggested remedies do exist, many historical accounts suggest just cutting the offending member off in order to relieve yourself of the pain. Luckily, however, the actual empirical evidence attesting to candiru attacks remains limited. In fact, many scientists today believe that these were just sensationalized stories, and that if a candiru were to swim up your private parts, it would be completely by accident, as they would not survive for long after having done so. Regardless, we'd still suggest staying far away from the Amazon's murky waters, just in case. After all, you never know if a cruel candiru will make you their next target. Number 1. Great white sharks. Although great white sharks are not quite as dangerous as movies like Jaws and Sharknado make them out to be, they definitely still are one of the most dangerous animals out there. Measuring as long as 6 meters and typically weighing in at more than 2.5 tons, it's pretty clear that the great white is massive. Unsurprisingly, it therefore uses its sheer power and 300 serrated teeth to its advantage, attacking prey such as sea lions, seals, small-toothed whales, and sea turtles. Yet it turns out that at times humans also make their way onto the menu. And while sharks don't actually like the taste of humans, they often mistake them for seals. However, after they take one bite and realize their mistake, they generally swim away. Unfortunately, this really is rather weak assurance, as even one bite is enough to severely maim or even kill a human. Yet with only about 30 to 35 great white shark attacks occurring per year, the chances of you coming face to face with one are rather low. As a result, if we crunch the numbers, it seems that it really is the sharks who should be scared of us. That's because if we include all types of sharks, humans kill a total of 100 million of them every single year. In other words, between 6.4 and 7.9% of their entire population. Primary reason for this shark slaughter is thanks to the demand for shark fin soup from many Asian countries, where it's a delicacy that's so expensive that just one bowl of it can cost upwards of $100. As a result, conservation efforts are being made around the world to ensure that these sharks remain in our oceans and stay off our dinner plates.
Oh my God, they're so strange. Such a strange animal.
As we all know, over 98% of our planet is covered by the waters of the Earth, and it's no wonder that as we delve deeper into these enigmatic depths, we continue to uncover some truly strange and remarkable discoveries. In a recent podcast, the renowned Joe Rogan revealed that the Navy, in collaboration with leading marine scientists, has stumbled upon a terrifying and mind-boggling discovery in the ocean. What peculiarities have these deep-sea divers found? How has humanity influenced the ecosystem of the ocean? In this video, we'll reveal the story Joe Rogan told us of what the Navy saw while diving in the ocean.
I lived for 2 weeks in the bottom of the sea.
Oh, Jesus.
The scariest thing I saw, and I opened my eyes in my mask in the darkness with my flashlight, and I saw, like, right in front of me, this huge eyeball. Like, about the size, I don't know, of a saucer.
The vast and significant global ocean, an immense saltwater expanse, blankets more than 70% of the Earth's surface. Among these expansive waters, the Great Pacific, Atlantic, Indian, and Arctic Oceans are the primary bodies meticulously classified by scientists. Recently, National Geographic officially recognized a fifth ocean, known as the Southern Ocean, on June 8, 2021, encircling the icy continent of Antarctica. In the mysterious depths of these oceans, scientists grapple with the awe-inspiring mystery of how many marine species inhabit these waters. Awe turns to amazement as we learn of the staggering number currently, a recognized 226,000 ocean species. Yet, the wonder doesn't end there. The marine realm, a crucible of life, is undergoing challenges. Pollution, warming seas, and other environmental issues threaten many of these oceanic species, leading to a decline in their numbers. Astonishingly, scientists remain on the brink of discovering even more living wonders, estimating the potential existence of several 100,000 to a few million yet to be identified species.
All hands, hoist the colors high. Heave ho, thieves and beggars, never shall we die.
The existence of enormous sea serpents or dragons has been mentioned in numerous mythologies and religions. Greek, Norse, Mesopotamian, Judaism, and Christianity are just a few. The creature known as Leviathan appears in many different stories, and its origins are rooted in far more than just one culture. So let's take a look at some of these origins. Before we go any further, today's video has been sponsored by Private Internet Access for punishing those guilty of envy by swallowing them whole. This led to the idea that Leviathan may mean more than just an enormous sea creature. It was a place where the damned would be sent. Its gaping maw was thought to represent the gates of hell. If we go by the Greek Old Testament and the Book of Revelation, Leviathan is a term when translated that means dragon. Dragons and serpents were not terms that were as defined as they are today. They normally refer to very similar creatures in ancient texts. The Old Testament doesn't directly associate Leviathan with the devil, but the book of Revelation speaks of a mighty battle between God and a seven-headed dragon, which is symbolic of evil and the devil. During this conflict, there were two monsters summoned that sided with the dragon. The first beast came from the abyss, and the second, the earth. Chapter 13 of the book of Revelation describes the first beast as rising from the sea, hence the association with the Leviathan. In the story where Jonah is swallowed by a whale, there are some biblical scholars who instead believe this could have been the Leviathan. It's not until the book of Job that we see the name Leviathan, a monster of the sea that mankind is helpless to overcome. Sharp teeth and scaled is a fairly ambiguous description, which is why the debate as to what creature may have inspired the Leviathan is still ongoing. I've seen suggestions ranging from an enormous crocodile, a giant whale, a multi-headed sea serpent, or perhaps just one of the many extinct species that used to inhabit our ocean. It's common in Judaism to see Leviathan paired with the behemoth, similar to the beasts we discussed earlier. Leviathan, a monster that inhabits the ocean, and behemoth, a monster found on land. The Book of Enoch isn't biblical canon, but it does describe Leviathan as a female monster that dwells in the depths of the ocean, and the behemoth as its male counterpart found in the desert. These two monsters were separated by God, and when the end comes they shall be slain and served as food to all those deemed as righteous. This essentially means when the time comes, God will slay these monsters to save his creations, but only his followers will be allowed to feast. In this account, Leviathan is described as a great fish. The Talmud echoes this idea, however it goes a tad further. Its skin will be flayed and cover the tent where the feast takes place. If one does not consume its flesh, they will be given clothing made from its skin. The remaining skin will be spread across the walls of Jerusalem, where its brightness is said to illuminate the world. Now you would assume in order to cover an entire city, this would have to be one really big fish. One description in the Talmud states it was a creature with horns on its head, a gaping jaw, and a body that is 300 miles long. Numerous stories in the Midrash describe encounters, and they often involve someone almost being swallowed. The word Leviathan appears in the Tanakh 6 times, twice in the book of Job, twice in Psalms, and twice in the book of Isaiah. The description, however, isn't always the same. Isaiah 27 mentions the torturous serpent Leviathan that resides in the sea. The Leviathan is described as a great fire-breathing monster with impenetrable scales. The book of Job perhaps gives us the most detailed explanation of its appearance. When Job begins to question his place and belief in God, God describes a fire-breathing terror that lurks in the ocean, a monster that embodies chaos, an untamed beast that mankind could never dream to overcome. The only one who can stop this beast is God himself. So Job and anyone else questioning their place in this hierarchy should acknowledge they have much more to learn. In Mesopotamian and Babylonian mythology, we see what are considered some of the first accounts of the Leviathan, or creatures that are very similar. The Babylonian creation myth tells of a primordial goddess of the sea known as Tiamat, who mates with Abzu, the god of freshwater. In one variation, Tiamat is the goddess of creation, and this marriage to Abzu slowly begins to create the cosmos as they have children. The second variation is much closer to the Leviathan we saw in Christianity. Tiamat is a monster that embodies chaos, and takes the form of a serpent or dragon. The first generation of deities in this pantheon are born from Tiamat. However, their children plan to overthrow them. Abzu is killed when trying to defend his throne, and so Tiamat assumes the form of a wicked monster and seeks vengeance. To aid her, she created all of the monsters in the world. Eventually, she was slain by the god Marduk, who created the heavens and the earth from her body. The Leviathan has taken many different forms, but I guess the more interesting question here is which creature do you think inspired its appearance the most? As always, I've been your host, Mythology and Fiction
Because sex is the most significant force in you. It is your life force. It is from this energy that you come. It is this energy that keeps you running, alive. Call it elan, vital. Call it life force. Because the word sex has become so condemned by the priests that even to use it, you feel as if you are doing something guilty. Use life force, and you can see the difference. With the word life force, you don't feel anything guilty. With sex, immediately something inside you starts pinching. That's your conscience. The priest has managed to create a small mechanism in you. It starts pinching you. That something is wrong. Sigmund Freud is a byproduct of the religions. If there had been none of these religions, there was no possibility of any psychoanalysis, because what was there to analyze? First, one needs a repressed system. And then a Sigmund Freud is needed, an Adler is needed, a Jung is needed, and they will go on coming. Till religions go on suppressing, more and more sophisticated methods of psychoanalysis and treatment will be coming. It is a growing profession.
I need money. I'm going to fight tonight.
There can't be two of us.
I am here to fight like my people are watching.
In discussing the large-scale structure of the cosmos, astronomers sometimes say that space is curved, or that the universe is finite but unbounded. Whatever are they talking about? Let's imagine that we are perfectly flat. I mean, absolutely flat, and that we live, appropriately enough, in a flat land. A land designed and named by Edwin Abbott, a Shakespearean scholar who lived in Victorian England. Everybody in flatland is, of course, exceptionally flat. We have squares, circles, triangles. We all scurry about, and we can go into our houses and do our flat business. Now, we have width and length, but no height at all. Now, these little cutouts have some little height, but let's ignore that. Let's imagine that these are absolutely flat. That being the case, we know, us flatlanders, about left-right, and we know about forward-back, but we have never heard of up-down. Let us imagine that into flatland, hovering above it, comes a strange three-dimensional creature which, oddly enough, looks like an apple. And the three-dimensional creature sees an attractive, congenial-looking square, watches it enter its house, and decides in a gesture of interdimensional amity to say hello. Hello, says the three-dimensional creature. How are you? I am a visitor from the third dimension. Well, the poor square looks around his closed house, sees no one there, and what's more, has witnessed a greeting coming from his insides, a voice from within. He surely is getting a little worried about his sanity. The three-dimensional creature is unhappy about being considered a psychological aberration, and so he descends to actually enter flatland. Now, a three-dimensional creature exists in flatland only partially. Only a plane, a cross-section through him can be seen. So, when the three-dimensional creature first reaches flatland, it's only the points of contact which can be seen, and we'll represent that by stamping the apple in this ink pad and placing that image in flatland. And as the apple were to descend through, slither by flatland, we would progressively see higher and higher slices, which we can represent by the apple. So the square, as time goes on, sees a set of objects mysteriously appear from nowhere and inside a closed room and change their shape dramatically. His only conclusion could be that he's gone bonkers. Well, the apple might be a little annoyed at this conclusion, and so, not such a friendly gesture from dimension to dimension, makes a contact with the square from below and sends our flat creature fluttering and spinning above flatland. At first, the square has no idea what's happening. He's terribly confused. It's utterly outside his experience. And after a while, he comes to realize that he is seeing inside closed rooms in flatland. He is looking inside his fellow flat creatures. He is seeing flatland from a perspective no one has ever seen it before to his knowledge. Getting into another dimension provides as an incidental benefit a kind of X-ray vision. Now our flat creature slowly descends to the surface, and his friends rush up to see him. From their point of view, he has mysteriously appeared from nowhere. He hasn't walked from somewhere else. He's come from some other place. They say, for heaven's sake, what's happened to you? And the poor square has to say, well, I was in some other mystic dimension called up. And they will pat him on his side and comfort him, or else they'll ask, well, show us, where is that third dimension? Point to it. And the poor square will be unable to comply. But maybe more interesting is the other direction in dimensionality. What about the fourth dimension? Now, to approach that, let's consider a cube. We can imagine a cube in the following way. You take a line segment and move it at right angles to itself in equal length. That makes a square. Move that square in equal length at right angles to itself, and you have a cube. Now, this cube, we understand, casts a shadow. And that shadow we recognize. It's, ordinarily drawn in third grade classrooms as two squares with their vertices connected. Now, if we look at the shadow of a three-dimensional object in two dimensions, we see that, in this case, not all the lines
Not all the angles are right angles. The three-dimensional object has not been perfectly represented in its projection in 2 dimensions, but that's part of the cost of losing a dimension in the projection. Now, let's take this three-dimensional cube and project it, carry it through a fourth physical dimension. Not that way, not that way, not that way, but at right angles to those 3 directions. I can't show you what direction that is, but imagine that there is a fourth physical dimension. In that case, we would generate a 4-dimensional hypercube, which is also called a tesseract. I cannot show you a tesseract because I and you are trapped in 3 dimensions. But what I can show you is the shadow in 3 dimensions of a 4-dimensional hypercube or tesseract. This is it. And you can see it's 2 nested cubes, all the vertices connected by lines. And now the real tesseract in 4 dimensions would have all the lines of equal length and all the angles right angles. That's not what we see here, but that's the penalty of projection. So, you see, while we cannot imagine the world of 4 dimensions, we can certainly think about it perfectly well.
I dress myself in cashmere!